Hello, good morning, and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have a loaded panel for you today. And we got some big bomb topics to get into. And this week, I got to tell you, has been one heck of a week for me personally, for a lot of reasons. Obviously, I was able to let the world know that I am, in fact, reviewing Hellblade 2. That's all I'll say. I will tell you that when the embargo lifts next week, I believe it's going to be 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning. I got to make sure. I got to read the fine print. I am actually going to have a video review on the channel that's going to be waiting to upload. And again, there's going to be a lot of traffic. Everyone's doing a video, but I'm actually doing a recorded voiceover with actual gameplay. I'm already combing over the recorded footage. There will be zero spoilers. You'll get a couple of fight scenes. You'll get some walking. You'll get some talking, but it's going to be nothing that is going to ruin it for you as a gamer. I will make sure of that. And I will guarantee that in the writing of the when you read the show notes, that there'll be no spoilers whatsoever. I want everyone to enjoy the game from the beginning to the end. And of course, there's nothing as a content creator worse than writing a show. You do it, you write it, you get the topics, you do the research, you highlight things, you throw things together, and you're ready to go. And then you ship it to everyone. Say, okay, guys and gals, this is what we're going to talk about. And then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, shit, there's breaking news. There goes a whole 2 hours worth of work. Well, that kind of happened because this morning, I woke up to, I think it was 13 DMs. And the thing that was posted is this Sony Group Global announcement. There is going to be a quote unquote business meeting next week. And the title of it, they even made like a graphic that moves. It's shocking. It's Sony, right? Beyond the Boundaries. Oh my God. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? I think that the salt is going to flow on the 23rd. I believe it. Yes, it's 5/23, which would be Thursday at 10 a.m. through 12 p.m. It's about an hour. It's about a 90-minute presentation. But listen, let's get into the panel here. And returning, Korkenstein, what's up, dude? Welcome back, brother. How you feeling?
Doing great. Thank you, guys. Like I said, it was super fun to be on last Friday. Thank you for inviting me back. Your community is just, I told you this a bunch of times already, so awesome, so positive, so healthy. It's just refreshing. So I'd love to come back.
Well, we love having you back, brother. Obviously, I know that you're on the West Coast and it's super early for you, but obviously you're an early birder. Like for me, I retired 10 years ago and I'm up at 5:30 and 6 every day. So this Boom still works. So I'm still, I haven't slept in outside of a weekend in a very long time. But listen, it's great to have you here. We came to get to your opinions, and of course, the prodigal son returns. Silent Cypher, what's up, brother? Welcome back.
Hey, Boom. Good morning. Good morning, panel. It's good to be hanging out with you guys, dude. What a week! What a week. We got a lot of stuff to go on to. So yeah, let's dive into it.
Yeah, and apologies for the red face. I just finished working out and I just ran into a shower and I ran out. So if I look like I've been drinking, I got my Gatorade in hand. That's about all I've been drinking. And I did have a coffee this morning, but yeah, I'll cool off so I'm letting the fan blow on me. But Crispy Bomb, the crispy truth is going to have to come out because the business meeting sounds very similar to the Xbox business meeting where, well, they announced there 4 games were going to PlayStation. Again, this is a hypothetical, Crispy, but what if they say Spider-Man 2018 going to Xbox? Holy cow, hide the kitchen knives, lock the windows. People are going to be upset. How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling vindicated, as we like to call it. All the tomatoes thrown at many of us many times for saying things are changing and you're going to just have to deal with it. And that includes us on Xbox side as well. So I'm interested. You don't word that for no reason, but we're going to get into it.
Absolutely. And last, no way least, another best bald head in the business, Chris, Fuzzy Belvedere. What's up, brother? How you feeling? Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here with you guys. Man, just so much last minute news popping up, but man, it's going to be an interesting topic today. But got a lot to get into. Can't wait to get to this, but yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, well, again, there's actually a lot of Sony news, ladies and gentlemen, and some of which are, well, they're not. It's not really good, and I'm going to tell you why. Because not only did they announce this business meeting, now again, it could be strictly business, but when was the last time? Let me ask an honest question. When was the last time you saw Sony do a public business meeting like this? I can't recall. And I think it's safe to say, Crispy, that one of the major money makers for Sony Interactive Entertainment is PlayStation. That is a known fact. That is not an exaggeration at all. They count on PlayStation to continue to make money to push the brand along because some of their other parts of Sony Interactive Entertainment, well, they're not doing so great. The film aspect of it is okay when there's a new Spider-Man, but there hasn't been a Spider-Man in a while, and there's not going to be one for a while. The last movie that they had that was Spider-Man related, Madam Web, flopped so bad that it is currently the worst rated film in Rotten Tomatoes history. Like the history of the thing existing, there's not been a worse rated film. That's what they had this year. That's why they delayed Kraven the Hunter, which of course doesn't have Spider-Man. That's probably going to flop as well. And we see this business meeting, and we were talking in the green room, folks. I think it's safe to say, Crispy, that Sony is known for copying Xbox. You know, the two are walking down an aisle, and Sony stops, and Microsoft just keeps walking, and they get all the arrows, right? They're getting all the arrows. And then when they do something, it's bad. Xbox bad. The minute Sony does it, and they say, "Oh, they got the arrows. We could walk side by side now." Sony good. Yeah. This is like that Drake thing. You know, he's like this and he's like this. Let's talk about this business meeting. Again, they've never done this before. This is coming on the heels of the Xbox business meeting at the beginning of the year. Is it similar? Well, speculation time. I'm not sure. But when you see the thing and it says Beyond Boundaries, I mean, I kind of think that they're meaning other platforms other than PC. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that and I was like, man, they're kind of just like, okay, we don't want all the arrows when we actually do this. Here's a little, little hint of what we're doing here. Obviously, I really think you see those numbers, you see that people still haven't switched over to the PS5. There's a lot of things that have happened over the past week that they've shown their hand basically almost. And it's like Microsoft's probably sitting there like, ooh, we have something here. And I think it comes down to, you see the numbers Helldivers does. You look at all these other IPs that have games that have been out for years, just like Sea of Thieves and other things that we went through that whole, it was like a craziness involved, people back and forth, hating each other, all the stuff. At the end of the day, I always said, Xbox, I just, if it's in Game Pass, I'm good. So that's where it's going to be a little different, because I don't see them going that far. I see them going, hey, we'll release a day and date on PC first. Maybe down the road, 5 years down the road, they might say Xbox or Switch, but they're not going to release it in their service as of now. Y'all have already bought in. So you haven't thrown your arms up and said, we don't get this stuff day and date. Why are you charging us just about the same amount as Game Pass Ultimate? And this is up to, they always stay quiet. And this is where it's like, Sony always stays quiet too. For them to do this, there's something here. You know what I mean? So I think you have to look at it and just look at the entire thing as a whole and say, when's the last time this happened? Usually we find out things through their financial statements and thus, but they have something to tell Sony, investors and everything else, something that is new. And I think it comes down to, if you look at the stock price, it ain't doing great either. So I think it's time, if they're going to back out of that Paramount deal, which I always felt like was a deal for getting their own streaming service and having that infrastructure there, because they have so much IP that they've done, especially in TV shows, which, I mean, like Cobra Kai, there's a lot of Sony group TV shows that are pretty good. You know what I mean? So you have an opportunity to get your stock price back up because you've already put out there that you're possibly backing out of this deal, and that has just hurt them bad. I mean, from hundreds of dollars, like, you know, in the mid 70s right now. So that's a lot to lose for a company like Sony. So I feel like there's going to be something that's going to be big, and I think people are going to hate it, which would be at the least going day and date with PC, which, you know, it might not happen immediately, but it might be them showing that they're projecting to do so. And of course, we all took the arrows to begin with. We even fought with each other at times. But now you're going to see the same thing happen on the other side. And I'm just going to sit here with all the receipts that all these loudmouths had. So it's just going to be great.
Gentlemen, we have mother effing breaking news.
Uh-oh.
That's going to make you shit your pants. It has been confirmed. I want to say, let me read it verbatimly. Rebs Gaming, as per the Wall Street Journal, has revealed Microsoft has confirmed that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 isn't going into Game Pass. Confirmed.
Isn't?
Is going into Game Pass.
Oh, I thought you said
okay. I was
isn't.
like, oh my god.
Yeah, no.
I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, no. So
Okay.
let me rewind it. Rebs Gaming, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, is reporting Wall Street Journal has just revealed that Microsoft is in fact releasing Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on Game Pass. And the quote says this: Microsoft plans a major shakeup of its video game sales strategy by releasing the upcoming installment of Call of Duty to its subscription service instead of the long-time lucrative approach of only selling it a la carte. So, and again, I have the story. Shout out to Rebs Gaming. That dude is on point. And this is directly from the Wall Street Journal. I have the thing in front of me. And yep, this is confirmed. Call of Duty. Now, again, I don't think Microsoft wanted to, and I'm going to go right back to you, Crispy, because obviously we're going to, you know, pass on that Sony topic because, again, it's a business meeting. Who gives a shit? Now, this is breaking news. We're going to get into it. Look, this is something that we were talking about. I have always been in the camp that it was going into Game Pass. And how did I come to that conclusion? Well, you heard Phil Spencer say the full slate of Activision would be on. He didn't specifically point out Call of Duty, but when you say full slate, you would imagine that that's a part of it. You heard Sarah Bond talk about Activision games going on to Xbox Game Pass. She wasn't specific. And if I'm taking a wild guess stab at this, I would imagine that this was going to be one of the big announcements at the redacted second showcase showing off gameplay for the next Call of Duty. Well, the cat's out of the bag, and I got to tell you, this is a giant win. Now, this could be, Crispy, a controlled leak. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Hellblade is next week. Right? That's going to be a big game. It's going to be a system seller. I don't care what you say. When you see the game, you're going to be like, yeah, you've seen the stuff that Ninja Theory's been putting out. Every day they have a new tweet about the game, and they're showing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Well, people are getting excited. People are talking about it. Starfield is about to have its first DLC in September. We're going to see it in June. The showcase we keep hearing is going to be the year of dreams for Xbox. This is a great way to kind of start poking the bear, so to speak, about the holiday. And we're gonna segue into it because, folks, I'm here to tell you, Sony has no games this holiday. We don't even know if the Pro is going to exist. I got a feeling that's going to be canceled. Because guess what happened? Oh, I don't know. GTA got delayed officially until holiday of 2025. So all the Sony fans that were running around like lunatics talking about, oh, it's gonna be Pro related, PS5 Pro, it's a launch title. Well, how did that work out for you? It didn't. Let's talk about this. This is monster news.
I mean, this is how do you get the casual base back? Here you go. And
yep.
I feel like that little article that it, kind of went out, but it's off numbers, like the amount of adoption rate for PS5. I think that was the nail in the coffin. Microsoft said, dude, we have this one opportunity to gain some mind share back. And I mean, what better? I mean, just what I've already seen from Hellblade, not to mention what I'm going to see. And I have full faith in Ninja Theory. This is the perfect time to say, hey, we are doing it, and we're going to do it the way that we really showed that everybody felt we were going to do, but we're confirming it now, right before a big title releases. And I think with the pricing of the Series S, the possibility of that portable, which I think nowadays with the way COD's built, how it has a mobile, part of it and everything else, I think it's a great time if they're going to go all in to possibly announce a end of year right before Christmas. Little, basically it's a Series S handheld type thing. You know what I mean? And you have the 1 terabyte already out there, the Series S. They're reasonably priced. If you go $199, COD on the box, have previous Maddens in there, all that stuff, little nuances on the box. There's something new to buy that's reasonably priced that, some kids may have said, I'm PlayStation all the way. But when you have this lull in games, it becomes a problem. We've seen it with Xbox, and here you go. We are on the cusp of something that I think finally people are going to have something to cheer about, which I kind of mentioned a while ago when we're all angry at each other. So can we all say, hold the line, as King would say?
I would say more than hold the line. I would say that the line has been drawn and it says COD. That's what the line says, because at this point, this is wow. I'm a bit awestruck by this news, because you know what? Let me pull up the Tom Warren story, because I don't pay for the New York Times, so I can't read it. So I'm gonna pull the report from Tom Warren. And again, somebody in the chat had said, "Hey, Boom, take a look at Tom Warren. He's reporting." So I'll get your name in a second. I want to give you credit because, again, this is breaking news live on the air. Well, according to Tom Warren of TheVerge.com, I have his report in front of me, and it says Microsoft to add next Call of Duty to Xbox Game Pass as per the Wall Street Journal. And he goes on to say here the plan could be announced during the Xbox Game Showcase in June. Wow, who just said that? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's me, because that's what I've been saying. It makes perfect sense. Silent Cypher, I got to bring you in on this. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit of the report from Tom. It says Microsoft has reportedly decided to add the next installment of Call of Duty to Xbox Game Pass as per the Wall Street Journal report. Microsoft is expected to announce that Call of Duty is coming to the Game Pass subscription service during the company's Xbox showcase on June 9th, which is in a couple of weeks. Now, he goes on to say, I reported earlier this month that Microsoft had been debating whether to put new releases of Call of Duty into Xbox Game Pass, with concerns from some at the company that the revenue generated from typical Call of Duty sales would be undermined by Game Pass. Activision traditionally sells copies of Call of Duty for around $70 and or more, depending on which version you buy, and selling more than 20 million copies on an average. Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing, Silent. I've said this before. You folks have heard me talk about this. The casual gamer is not attached to their PlayStation 5 as much as some of us in the community want to believe. There is a difference. There is a major difference. And if one thing we have learned about gamers, and I think we all could admit this, we are cheap MFs. And if we can get a game for $17 in a subscription service as stout as Call of Duty, I think people are going to be selling their PlayStation 5s, because if that is what they play, if they are the Madden, the 2K, the FIFA, the WWE, and the Call of Duty, they will trade their PlayStations in to get Xbox Series X, which could be $200 when this game comes out in the fall for Black Friday. This is, thinking about it now with all of the information we have, Silent Cypher, Jim Ryan was right to be afraid. He was looking down the road of this perfect storm that's brewing for Xbox. Now, I know that the rhetoric is Xbox is dying, they're on their knees. If you think that, let me tell you something, you're a boob, because that's not what's happening here. They're the biggest publisher in gaming, and they hold licensed IPs up the yin yang, Call of Duty being the biggest one. Think about this for a second. Crispy, you made mention of something that a lot of people are not taking into account. I want to give you some more information to run with this, Silent. Right now, according to Kotaku, an article that was posted yesterday, half of PlayStation players are still playing on PlayStation 4. And that's based on actual numbers from PSN. PSN users, more than half, have not switched over to the PS5. You know what's interesting about this particular Call of Duty? It's the first next generation one only, which means that if you are on PlayStation 4, you're going to have to decide where you're going to go. Are you going to spend $500-$600 for your PS5 to play and $70 plus your microtransactions? Or are you going to see the Xbox Series X, which could run this game at 120 frames with no problem for $200? That includes Game Pass for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and Call of Duty. This is a nightmare scenario for Sony. Take it away.
Boom, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this to me screams a company that's going out of business. Like, obviously,
I love it.
This is what you do when you're going out of business. You do all of these things. You bring a game to Game Pass where it's going to spread like wildfire. That's makes sense. It checks out. No, seriously, this is going to be nuts. I know we kind of figured that Call of Duty was going to go to Game Pass, but recently, with the conversations that have been had, it landed on shaky ground, right? Because we started to think like, well, maybe they're changing their approach a little bit. Obviously, there's been some moving and shaking in the company. So, like, it's not impossible to see something like this get like walked back or whatever. We've seen this stuff happen before. I was still kind of the mind that maybe we'd see either a increased Game Pass Ultimate cost going into the release of this game, or that they would introduce a new tier where you'd get Call of Duty as day one when it came in. No, I didn't like that idea. I'm never a fan of the increases and stuff, but like, it happens, right? Netflix raises prices, Disney raises prices, everyone does it. So I figure eventually we'll see an increase there. But this is great news for everyone that's already in the ecosystem, but also, like you said, anyone who hasn't yet made that next gen or current gen commitment to figure out where they want to play the games and how they want to play them. And like you said, it is a very cheap entry barrier if you end up going on the Xbox side at this point. So this is like the perfect time for them to announce this type of stuff, especially going into the showcase here in just a couple of weeks. This is the time to have something like this come out. That's why, when you said it was a controlled release potentially, that wouldn't surprise me, especially given all the crap that Sony's landing on right now. Like, they're stepping on the rakes. So this is a great opportunity to have a positive narrative out there in the market. It doesn't happen super often for Xbox, and it usually only lasts for a couple days. So let's enjoy it, because I'm sure something will come up that'll make us wonder, like, what the heck is going on? But right now, I'd say anyone who's a Call of Duty fan, anyone who's a Game Pass fan, everyone has a lot of reason to celebrate, because this is good. This is great news.
I mean, I know there's a lot of chatter. First of all, let me welcome in. Wow, we have over 600 people here on a Friday morning. So big thank you for everyone watching live. Again, that's across Twitter, that's across YouTube. Thank you. And please, if you're new and you're finding the channel for the first time, consider subscribing. I definitely appreciate everyone being here with this, of course, breaking news. Again, this is crazy that the show changes like in real time. Korkenstein, let's bring you in on the conversation. This is monstrous news. because there has been some Microsoft themselves, well, let me walk it back. We've heard Phil Spencer talk about Activision content. You've heard Matt Booty talk about content from Activision. You've heard Sarah Bond specifically talk about Activision content. And they have confirmed that content will be coming into Xbox Game Pass, but they never specifically said Call of Duty. And obviously, Tom Warren reminded us that he did, in fact, have a report a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was last week, that there's been some internal struggle as to what to do with Call of Duty. Do they increase Game Pass, to justify it? Do they make it separate? And if that would have been just a nightmare if they would have tried to do that. But now the Wall Street Journal, who I trust, now maybe you don't, maybe you need someone, a bigger publication. I don't know if there is one, to be honest with you. But if they are running with this story, they have it on good authority that yes, it is going into Xbox Game Pass. Now, Microsoft themselves haven't said anything. Like I said in the opening, I really thought that this was going to be an announcement that they would want to give the fans at the June 9th event. But then I sat on it for a second and said, a controlled leak like this, kind of letting the cat out of the bag, is going to start a snowflake that's going to turn into this monstrous snowball, and it's going to just engulf social media. That is a really big deal, but I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about this a little bit on the last podcast on last Friday here. Basically, yeah, it's something. This is why they get ahead of the bad news before the showcase. They did it last year with announcing Starfield, the delay there, and then by the next week they had, I think, another big rumored or leak come out. But either way, by the end of the showcase, nobody even remembered Starfield was delayed. It kind of was old news at that point. It's kind of something that it kind of bothers me a little bit because Xbox has always, people say Xbox's messaging has been inconsistent, but it's stuff like this where they've been saying first party titles. I don't know how many times they've had to say it for the last few months about games coming to Game Pass first party, but they've been saying it. And then you still have people that change this narrative. Well, I heard. And then now all of a sudden you got news stories running. Call of Duty won't be on Game Pass. What's going on at Microsoft? And it's like, who's really stepping on the rakes here? Is it Microsoft or is it the people that aren't listening? Microsoft constantly has to get ahead of narratives that aren't created, that they didn't create. It was created by somebody else to come in, and now they have to clean up that mess that somebody else made. And I think that's a case here. A lot of people are shocked by it, but they've been consistent. First party titles are coming to Game Pass. And yeah, is it fair to kind of make me have some, with a monstrous thing that is Call of Duty? Yeah, I mean, it's fair to maybe kind of look at it sideways and be like, are they going to do it? But to run with a narrative now that's so big that people are now saying, oh yeah, hey, Call of Duty won't be on Game Pass. And now it's a shock that it is. It just, I don't know. It seems very, I don't know the word for it, but it's mind blowing. Yeah.
Mind blowing is it's mind warping, if you will. I mean, I like what you're putting down, brother. I think that you're onto something. I don't know how many times they have to say first party content goes into Game Pass. Somehow that was going to change with Call of Duty because there's no way that Microsoft will allow it. Look, they're putting games here, there, and everywhere. They're making money here. They're making money there. I mean, listen, look, they closed 4 studios. They're closing down the joint. That's it. Close up shop. Sell off Call of Duty to PlayStation, right? It's some of the conversations that have gone on the last couple of weeks have been nothing short of laughable. Now, look, I am not going to let them off the hook for closing 4 studios, being who they are, especially Tango. Now, I understand the business. I'm going to tell you straight up, I still don't like it. With that said, Call of Duty has been confirmed to be coming to Xbox Game Pass. That game would have cost me $76.43 here in New Rochelle, New York. Fuzzy, this is what we've been waiting for. I don't know if this is a slip of the tongue, a cat out of the bag situation, or a controlled leak. But if the Wall Street Journal is reporting on it, rest assured they have it on good authority this is happening. And I think that, again, this is one of those situations, this is one of those IPs that is going to move people. I mean, I saw some conversation in the chat. Oh no, digital libraries, nobody's moving. You think so? But what if their digital library consists of Madden and Call of Duty and 2K? Well, I don't know. All of those IPs are available in Game Pass right effing now. So you know what they're going to be able to do? They're going to be able to buy a Series S, get a memory card, and download all of those Call of Duty games with updated graphics and everything, and they're going to have their whole collection back. And oh, you know what's important? What's also happening? Crossplay. So if they have fans on PlayStation, their buddies play on PlayStation 5, they could play with them with no problem. I'm telling you, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, we looked at subscription services like Netflix and scoffed, right? Like, I want my disc. I'm not going to do digital. Now everyone goes digital, and when you are the owner of the IP, and you can say, "Hey, listen, we're dropping every Call of Duty ever made into this service," I am telling you, people are going to move. And now that you got the new one, which by the way happens to be Black Ops by Treyarch, that is the tip of the spear. Let's talk about it, Fuzzy.
I'm not surprised by the news because even from the business update, they inferred or hinted to the fact that all things will be still going to Game Pass day and day as far as first party is concerned, much like everyone said so far. Plus, you have to look at it from the legal standpoint. They already told the FTC that they would do so. So they really couldn't really back out even if they wanted to without some other repercussions. But all of that aside, I think that was the game plan from get-go. Just looking at the overall, I think they look at it as we put it in Game Pass, it's going to up subscriptions as far as the numbers, or it's going to have people still buy it where they choose to stay. Either way, they still get money. Money is money, and it still spends the same way. They get it as a reoccurring thing if you do the subscription, which in the long term, they might get more out of you, but it all depends on how you look at it, because a lot of those fans that are in the subscription will either buy the games or buy the DLC, or more likely spend more money on skins, which then they still make money off of that and pocket that and stuff like that. So it's great to see that it's confirmed, but like you, I thought it would be something that they would save for the showcase. But the way things are kind of looking, especially when we get into the Sony story later, as far as their business update, I'm starting to wonder as well, as far as if the PS5 Pro doesn't get pushed. I mean, sure, there's some that were already in production as far as dev kits and whatnot. And if they, cancel it per se, and then put all of those resources towards making the PS6, then that's a totally different story. But I mean, if the game isn't really I guess at best case scenario, and I joked about this before, if the PS5 Pro still comes out, the only real game that it's going to be a highlight on it is going to be Xbox Series titles, which would be Call of Duty. So that being said, if people buy the PS5 Pro and they get Call of Duty, Microsoft still gets a 70% cut, at least of the software. If they do bundles, and Microsoft, being the smart guys that they are, will probably do something similar to Disney, where they'll be able to get almost a 50% cut of the bundle. That includes some of the cost for the console. So there's that as well. But I think in the grand scheme of things, there'll be bundles of Series X's and Series S's. And like you said, there's been so many people that are still on last gen, whether it be an Xbox One or PS4. This being next gen only, and the looming, into next year holiday season, GTA 6 being next gen only, that's going to be the big push. Those are the titles that people will buy a console for no matter what. Sure, we say, first party usually helps, and it does to some extent, but the big games that always stay at the top of the charts, like Call of Duty, like Grand Theft Auto, those would be the bigger ones. Now, Fortnite, they've already done their upgrade, but unless you're really pixel peeping, you're really not going to see that much of a difference between last gen and next gen. They're still fun to play. They're still the same game mode. So Fortnite wasn't going to do it. People are just going to continue to play that wherever. But yeah, having Call of Duty in Game Pass, I think that's where we finally get to hear Microsoft make an announcement like, oh yeah, we're at 50 million subscribers, or that they've sold 50 million consoles because of the bundles or whatever they plan on doing this holiday. Which, even if they don't plan on doing bundles, I can almost guarantee you your GameStops, your Best Buys, your Targets, they'll wind up doing bundles themselves. Like, oh, buy the console and you get, to choose between 2 or 3 software titles for free or whatever. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, this is great news to hear. Kind of expected it anyway, so it's not really news, but for those that may not be as aware or familiar or listen to those supposed insiders, this will, I guess, be a weight off of their shoulders or pleasant surprise for them. But yeah, looking forward to that Call of Duty, Black Ops, Gulf War being in my Game Pass subscription.
And we're going to get to see it in a couple of weeks. Obviously, the June 9th is stone throw away, right? 3 weeks away. I'm going to be in attendance along with a whole bunch of people from the community. I cannot wait to hang out with Hargeet and Fonzarelli and a whole bunch of others. Ben Kenobi's going to be there. Holly, that blue number is going to be there. Sean LeBrie. It's going to be a lot of fun. Casante is also going. Everborn Saga is potentially going to be there. So it's going to be a lot of fun to actually meet the people in real life and hang out and have ginger ale. Ainsley is going to be there as well, so I can't wait to hang out with him. We hung out in 2019, so I'm looking forward to hanging out with him. Yeah, this is tremendous news, and it is a win for Xbox, but more importantly, it is a win for us, the consumer. Right? We win, and I think that gets lost in the gaming media with their console war rhetoric that obviously drives subs, likes, and clicks. And obviously on social media, people, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they'll say egregious things to kind of get that attention. This is a giant W for consumers. And the one thing, like I've said 1,000 times before, Game Pass has proven once again that it is the best deal in gaming. There is no doubt about it. And when you can put a Call of Duty in there, you're going to see, and I think you're onto something, Fuzzy Belvedere. You saw the numbers for Starfield. What did they report? The biggest one-day sub count in the service's history. I think they're going to tenfold that with Call of Duty. People are going to be lining up in droves to get Game Pass. And if they're smart, and I hope that they are smart, they drop the Series X to $349. They drop the Series S to $199. They throw Call of Duty on the box. They got marketing. And then they take, and again, for me personally, I would say give them 3 months, but they won't. They'll give you 30 days. They Call of Duty included. You get 30 days. And you can go and you download and you're playing Call of Duty, plus you're playing. And mind you, this is in the same freaking year that you're getting Avowed, Indiana Jones, you're getting Hellblade 2, you're getting Flight Sim, you're getting all of these games, Stalker 2, in Game Pass, potentially Gears of War collection, potentially Compulsion's game in South of Midnight, because that's a possibility. In Exile's game might be dropped this year. We keep hearing that's a possibility. This year is freaking bonkers for Xbox. How do you not have an Xbox or at least a Game Pass subscription in 2024? It makes no freaking sense. But that's just my take on it. Let me catch up on these super chats. There's been quite a few of them. Wow, there is a lot of them here. Let me catch up with them. And then we will move on to the GTA story, because the GTA story, folks, yesterday, I didn't know if I saw a report that there were a lot of people in the hospital with broken backs because they were trying to pin this PS5 Pro and GTA day and date together, and just all of their narratives just collapsed on them. So people were destroyed. And it was quite funny to watch. GTA confirmed, well, it's not coming out until fall of 2025. And, well, I think that does really put the coffin in anyone that thought that was going to launch exclusively on the PlayStation 5 Pro, which is ridiculous. But, people like to dream. Gamers Play HUD Zero drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says, Happy Friday. I'm not worried about marketing of GTA, but it seems Rockstar is favoring Microsoft for the push. They put GTA 5 on Game Pass twice. I mean, Zelnick and Phil, they're good friends, man. And, you know, Sony ain't got money like that. I'm sorry. They just, it's probably going to cost upwards of $500 million or more for marketing. I don't have the pen to sign the checks or the bank account numbers to put in, but I will say this. If I'm Microsoft and I'm smart and I'm not dumb like some of the people that are running the show, because some of them just make decisions that make you, wow, like, I mean, I don't have a degree, folks, and I could have saw that coming. If you want to literally destroy any narrative, if you want to take over the conversation in a way that has never been seen before, you own Call of Duty. If you got the marketing for Grand Theft Auto and it cost you $500 million, now I'm not saying put it in Game Pass. No, don't do that, because that would be ridiculous. But get the marketing. You could market the next Call of Duty and GTA in the same year on your box? Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, that is a roadmap to success that we have never seen before. I don't have 500 million in the bank. I only have like 4. So, you know, I can't do the investment. But if I was Microsoft, I would definitely spend the 500 million to get that, if that's what it costs. That's just me. JD Gamer, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. And he goes on to say, having Call of Duty marketing is already crazy, but imagine if Microsoft wanted to take out Sony in one fell swoop, price the Series S at $99 for 2 weeks, Game Pass and Call of Duty in 2020. Oh my God, that would be, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see a world how that happens, but I want to live in that world, JD Gamer, because that is just bonkers. $100 Xbox with Call of Duty. You know what? Okay, I'm old. I'm the old prick in the room, and I'm gonna say something. People are gonna be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyone that's older than 40 will remember this. Do you remember what happened with the Cabbage Patch Kids scenario where moms were beating the balls off each other to get those things? That was a thing.
That was Tickle Me Elmo for my generation.
Okay, so there you go. All right, so
Those
the Tickle Me Elmo was another
too.
one. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, so these things actually happen where if you think I'm lying, go to YouTube, type in Cabbage Patch Kids 80s, and you'll see the stores. There were moms throwing haymakers in these freaking aisles trying to get these freaking dolls. It's crazy. JD Gamer, if that happened, it would be the Cabbage Patch scenario or the Tickle Me Elmo thing all over again. It would be ridiculous. Jay Rambert drops a very generous $2 super chat, and he goes on to say, Xbox needed good news. Game Pass numbers will explode. Yeah, absolutely. I just think Starfield, which it's not niche because it's an open world RPG and it's Bethesda, but Call of Duty is one of those IPs that move people. They move groups of people. And when you can say that you have the next Call of Duty, which again, out of all of the branded Call of Duties, the most popular one is Black Ops. That's a fact. And Black Ops will move people off of console. Maybe they don't trade their console, and maybe they don't have to. They go and see a $200 Xbox and they buy that. But I just think it's going to move the needle. Tim the Sorcerer, who's been a channel member for 22 months. Tim, thank you so much for the crazy support. He says, have a great weekend, panel and chat. Black Series S and new Call of Duty for like $350 would be a great marketing push. Throw in 3 months of Game Pass. Yeah, I have a funny feeling it's going to be $200. I mean, maybe they do the 1 terabyte. Maybe it's $250 because it's the 1 terabyte versus the old school 500. And the black one is nice. That actually that's actually a really good idea, a good marketing idea. Hargeet Chani, congratulations, brother. He's going to be at the Xbox Showcase. Happy to know that, and could happen to more gentleman-like individual, he drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says, Hellblade 2 advertising seen at the NBA playoffs. Marketing is in full swing. Call of Duty marketing incoming. Big year for Xbox. Indeed, absolutely. Jax82 drops a very generous, who is very generous because he's been a channel member for 2 months. So Jax, thank you so much for the support, brother. He says it's official. I'm buying that 2 terabyte storage card now, especially for Call of Duty. Their games are too big to fit on my Series S. And you know what's crazy? Like, I'm not a big tech guy. I know how to just enough to get around, but the Series S is going to be able to play Call of Duty at 120 frames. Think about that for a second, folks. The $200, the thorn in the side of the industry, right? The little brother, the redheaded stepchild, if you will, is going to be able to play that game in 120 frames. Why would you get one? And the casual audience ain't going to give a shit that it's a small little box. They're probably going to appreciate that. It's going to be a big year for Xbox. JD Gamer drops not one but $2 super chats, and this is the first one. He says, "Now, do we get another tier in Game Pass?" I don't know. That's a fantastic question. I would imagine that if there is going to be one, it's going to be announced at the showcase, and it's probably going to rub some people the wrong way. But I don't know about you folks. I have subscriptions to everything. Netflix goes up every year. Disney Plus goes up every year. Paramount goes up every year. And you know what? I don't like it, but I like the content. Did anyone watch X-Men 97? So if it goes up another $1, oh well, such is life. But again, I don't advocate for price increases. No, I'm a consumer. I want to pay as cheap as possible. But if it does go up to get Call of Duty, it's going to be it's going to be a hot conversation for a minute. But they already had a price increase last year, so I don't know if they're going to do it again. We'll see. His second $2 super chat. Yes, somebody wants to say something?
Yeah. What about a live service tier? You get all the battle passes and every expansion's coming up. So you have something like, now look at, they got Overwatch 2, they got Call of Duty, they have World of Warcraft.
Theory.
They have all these live service titles, and live service is booming. What about an extra $2 to $3 a month to cover that? And you get every subscription, every
that would be
pass.
like Ubisoft Plus that gets you everything. Like you pay Ubisoft Plus, which I think I pay 18 and change or 19 and change after tax, and you get the $100 version on every game. This year is going to be huge for Ubisoft because I'm getting everything. I'm getting Star Wars. I'm getting a new Splinter Cell that's probably releasing this year. Whatever else they have coming out. Obviously, the Assassin's Creed Red is going to be. I'm getting the I think it's $119 version. And when you get that, you get everything. You get every DLC. So that's actually a phenomenal idea. Maybe they do that. I would subscribe to that in a second. If you're telling me I get all the battle passes included, yep, sign me up. Let's see. His second super chat says, "What if Microsoft gets GTA 6 marketing and does a bundle?" It's game over for the industry. I'm sorry, it just is. Sir X-Man drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Boom! Don't forget Game Pass PC for Call of Duty. Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a big deal, and they're making money on Game Pass PC. It's doing really well for them." Michael Mooney drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, "How would people feel about an early 2026 soft release of a new Xbox console to steal the GTA box title from Sony?" That's the rumor that they're going to do in 2026. I think it would be holiday. But that would be pretty ballsy if they did in the beginning of the year. I don't think it's ever been done. March has been the closest, and that was Nintendo in 2017 with the Switch. Amory drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, "Football analogy, Xbox, BR, Nintendo, AR, PlayStation, US." It's you're not wrong. I like the analogy. I do. Xbox, BR, Nintendo, AR, PS, US. There's some truth to that for sure. New Era Panda TV. Welcome to the program. That's awesome. Nice to see you here. drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, first time here, digging the convo, Cork looking fresh in that tuxedo shirt. That's very kind of you. Welcome to the program. It's nice to have you here. And thank you for the generosity. John Wolf in there, this is Mr. Game Pass, but he's also Mr. Call of Duty. He says Call of Duty on Game Pass is aggressive, and that is what we want to see. Xbox gamers win when that happens. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. John, thank you so much for that. And he showed off. I sent him the Call of Duty coin, which he has in his PCMR, and it looks pretty freaking dope. Highlander 001. Hey, Highlander, welcome back, and thank you for the generosity. As always, he drops a $5 super chat and says, Sarah Bond said a couple of weeks ago, all Activision Blizzard games would be in Game Pass, starting with Diablo 4. Why is this shocking? Listen, You're not wrong. I've said that like a couple of times this episode where, the heads of Microsoft, the ones that don't have a voice anymore, according to certain people in the community, the one that has had their bark taken away because, Microsoft is the puppet master now. It's so dumb. It's not surprising, at least to us, but I'm glad for the confirmation. Shine Films, who's been a channel member for 8 months, says this: good morning, Boom and panel. Well, good morning to you. Xbox is positioned to have a monster second half of the year. I can't wait for the showcase next month. Yeah, I am hearing some things, and it doesn't seem real, but that's all I'll say. Oh, snap. Highlander 001, as he's done many times before. Highlander, thank you so much for the continued support. You are freaking amazing. He has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. Thank you for the outstanding support. So I'm going to go in reverse. Fuzzy, I'm going to write to you before we get to everybody else. GTA yesterday was confirmed to not be releasing until 2025, the holiday, which says that is a year and some change, a year and a half out. Gives it a ton of dev time. But what it ultimately does, I think, is sink the ship for the narrative that it was going to release this year alongside the PlayStation Pro. And we actually saw journalists reporting on this. Like they had it as matter of fact. And what it does, I don't keep receipts. I know Crispy does. He keeps a lot of them. He throws them in your face. I don't have time for receipts. What I do have is a decent memory. And I remember plenty of websites running, it's over for Xbox. Pack it in, brothers. It's gone, because when the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, it's going to run GTA at 60 frames per second. And you know what? Well, I don't even know if a Pro is happening, because obviously they did a lot of restructuring. They're backing out of the Paramount deal. Their stock continues to tank. Sony is not looking good. Microsoft looking pretty good. Let's talk about the GTA delay.
Well, if I'm a smaller dev or smaller publisher, I'm marking out on the calendar of when not to release my game anywhere near that thing. That's the first step. But outside of that, we kind of figured it wasn't going to be until 2025. Like I think they even said in that trailer that they had to, release early because somebody beat them to it, type of thing. That It was 2025 anyway. So it's no real surprise. But once again, this is Rockstar, so don't be surprised if, as we get closer to that time, it gets pushed to 2026. Just saying. And that kind of goes to
what's coming out in 2026?
Possibly the next gen Xbox.
So, my goodness.
But it's definitely something that a lot of people are anxiously waiting for. Like made mention earlier, a lot of people are still on the previous gen consoles. That's going to be one of, I would say, one of 2 titles that will really push people to buy a next gen console. But with it being pushed the holiday of 2025, that gives us ample time to prepare for that title, because rumors has it that it's not going to be your $70 price. Although I have a totally different idea on how they're going to price this, but people are probably not going to like it. But I don't think this is going to be a $100 title like some people have rumored. The one thing I'm kind of afraid of, based on what Zelnick said before, is that this will be a subscription only game. Well, not a subscription only, but mainly for the online. It'll be like, wow. I mean, you could probably play it for free and only level up, but so far, basically, you'll be like one of the homeless on the streets of Miami or the fictional Miami if you don't do the subscription. But if you do the subscription, your rewards will be, you know, certain cars or certain houses or condos and things like that. Maybe a yacht. But I foresee this possibly going that subscription model of either like something like $9.99 a month or $14.99 a month. If you want to do their online type of deal. They've already tested out that VIP thing, which I don't know how well it did for them. I know some people signed up where you were getting like bonus cars and cash, you know, monthly or weekly or something like that. But yeah, it's plenty of time for them also to squeeze as much money out of GTA 5 online players as they possibly can as they start to, you know, wind down that. But yeah, looking forward to 2025. I wish, and I know it's not going to happen, but I wish Take-Two was about that day and date for PC life, just for the fact of mods and things like that. But I know that, yeah, they're going to try to get us to buy it multiple times. You'll buy it on console, and then a year later, they'll offer it on PC, and then maybe there's a mid-gen refresh or a next-gen console, and then they'll offer it again on console for us to buy a third time. And so be it for, you know, how they normally do it. But looking forward to the game. But yeah, and let me put it to rest as well. Even if the PS5 Pro was releasing this holiday with GTA 5 or GTA 6, I'm sorry, it's not running GTA 6 at 60. It's not the graphic horsepower or the CPU horsepower to really push that. Considering how Rockstar likes to add a billion and one things that are taxing on the CPU and GPU. I would say maybe a next gen will be lucky to be able to do 60 frames for this game, because you're probably going to have something like 100 NPCs with each of them having their own specific daily script on screen at any given time.
Using AI, no less.
Yeah, and it's probably going to cripple your 4090s that are out there now and your Ryzen 9s and your i9s out there. So just be prepared. If those are going to have time struggling with that game, I would imagine the PS5 Pro will definitely have time struggling, and maybe even next gen for that matter. But looking forward to it nonetheless. We'll see how close we can get to 60 with next gen, but looking forward to that game next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it's going to be a big game. It's going to sell a gazillion copies. Everyone that's going to, all of us are going to buy it 3 times. Not even realize, like, how did I get 3 copies of this game? It's just GTA does that to you. Crispy Bomb, let's talk about this, because you were in the X streets talking that talk, or TTS as the kids like to say. And there was, you saw the conversation. I saw the conversation. We had conversations about 60 frames for the PlayStation 5 Pro, GTA, marketing, exclusive. It's going to be exclusive for PlayStation. And we all laughed. But this really does put a damper on that community that was running this narrative. And again, what's, I think, disappointing is this was people in the gaming media were running this. Like, I'm not shocked, but I'm like, wow, okay. But here we are. GTA gets a monster delay until holiday 2025. And I think that Fuzzy really did knock it out of the park by saying, well, it is Rockstar, so what if they delay it 6 more months into 2026? That's kind of floating around the time where you might get a new Xbox. We may be talking about an Xbox bundle or something. I don't know. It would be pretty crazy. What are your thoughts on the delay?
I mean, we kind of saw it coming when they started with all these leaks that happened, and they were kind of like scrambling, kind of like what happened with PlayStation, Insomniac, and Wolverine. Kind of like, now, okay, like, let's think about this for a second. And as Fuzzy explained, Grand Theft Auto, especially with the graphics they're trying to push, it's going to be taxing. I mean, maybe there is a PS5 Pro out there if they're not going to go to 6, but it's almost illogical at this point, especially if Xbox is going to do this and actually release a next-gen console. Or I would call it an upgraded version. I think we're going to start seeing these consoles, especially on the Xbox side, really lean into like this iPhone / Samsung type. We're going to release every 4 or 5 years. I mean, obviously, I doubt they have the R&D. They want to invest that much into releasing it after every 2 years, because it's a console. It's not a phone. Phones are basically essential at this point. So, but I do see them kind of as graphics and everything else, and AI gets pushed and all these other things, they're going to feel a need to upgrade these consoles a little faster than we're used to. That being said, it's Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it's timeless. I remember playing it, Grand Theft Auto 2, the top down. I mean, and that was like innovative back then. So, this might be because everybody could boo me right now. I never played GTA 5. I was out of it after San Andreas. I was just like, okay, I've had enough GTA. All right, move on to something else. So might be the time where, hey, it's been long enough. I jump back in and I'll have fresh eyes on it, which a lot of people won't. They'll be in their fandom, and me, I'll be like, is this really worth possible subscriptions, things like that? That's the one thing about Take-Two. They will push to get that money from you, and we all know it. They've been doing it with GTA 5 for forever, it feels like. So I'm intrigued if the possibility, because they will be like, oh, it's not quite where we want it, because they do want to release something really special. They would, push back another 6 months. They are relying on this game to launch in the best state possible and really like be this immersive experience that people just can't deny. And that's what really they're great at doing. So could it launch with the new Xbox? Could have that been the plan the whole time? You know what I mean? And you never know. You don't know these backdoor talks. So I'm just saying, like, what better momentum imagine having that type of 2-year momentum that Xbox has. We'd be looking at when PlayStation came back in the 360 era type thing. Like all of a sudden they came out of nowhere and they ended up like dead even at the end of that generation. And people deny it, like we always felt like 360 sold better, but really they ended right neck and neck. So Xbox still has a shot here. And if they do, like I said, if they do kind of just say, hey, this is a new series, but it's next gen, but also has all your normal features. There's nothing different, just like they've been doing. You know what I mean? So it's just basically like a next upgrade rather than just being a full on console launch, which we're basically seeing now. So I really think Xbox is well catered to be able to do this because they support back compat and all these other things. I think it is going to be very easy for them to continue on upgrading into a new console era and not really feel like it's a huge difference, but at the same time allowing people to keep all their library and everything else. These are all pro-consumer things that Xbox has done that people just don't talk about, and I think it's going to come to fruition that it's going to be very important as we get down in the next like 10 years.
I agree. I think that's why you heard Sarabon talk about like really putting that team together to make sure that both Xbox in the current, Xbox in the past, and Xbox in the future, your content is going to go with you on wherever. And like I said, we've already heard the conversation, Silent Cypher, about the different SKUs that could be the next Xbox, right? It could be a PC where it looks like an Xbox, but it's an actual PC. I don't know what's going to happen there. We'll have to wait for Microsoft to tell us what their plans are. But for GTA 6, and I know people are like Death Wish Dre, welcome to the program, brother. He said it's not a delay. It's not technically a delay in the sense where they said they gave us a release date and it's a delay, but it's certainly being pushed out further than they originally said it was going to be. So I mean, it's I guess tomato. But appreciate you being here, Silent Cypher. This, like I said, this really does put a lot of narratives to bed. But I think what it does ultimately is, what if a pro exists, and we know that it does. We've seen the specs. If a pro exists and a Pro is going to be $600 minimum, right? Not having a game from third party that's going to take advantage, like a GTA, that they could market. Because the reality is this: Sony can't afford GTA marketing. Sorry, if that upsets you, go look at the books. They can't. They just can't. Microsoft can afford it. I mean, if I was Microsoft, I would do it, but I also don't have the keys to the bank account. So, they're probably not going to do it. Who knows if GTA even needs to market with anyone, but they like money. So they're going to market with somebody. But this delay, or postponement, if you will, until holiday of 2025, which could easily, because it's Rockstar, be moved out into the next year, because that's just what they do. I know we had delays for Red Dead Redemption 2. We had delays for GTA 5 multiple times. So if there's another delay that goes past 2025 holiday, I'm not going to be surprised. When this game comes out, it's going to be probably the greatest selling game of all time. Like in the history of games, it's going to sell like hotcakes. But like I said, to open up the conversation, this does put to bed a lot of narratives with the PlayStation 5 Pro. Let's talk about it.
First, yeah, so I do want to touch on the Pro because I find it interesting. We saw the sales numbers earlier this week that said that they're down 29% on hardware sales.
Yep.
Now, of course, doom and gloom when it was 31 for Xbox.
31 for
Everyone's
Xbox,
like,
correct.
it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Close the doors.
Put a nail in it, close that coffin, throw it in the ground. But 29, that's really not that far away. But the reason I bring that up is I find it really interesting, the idea of trying to split your market more when you're already having hardware drops on sales. So now you're going to introduce this PS Pro for, we'll say, $650, somewhere around there, right? So you're going to do that right as you're having a bunch of hardware drops on the sales and stuff as it is. Like, I feel like separating your market more and more right now is not the move. But what do I know? I'm just a dude that does podcasts, so I don't see the big money moves. But it feels like a really bad time to put this out. Now, maybe they think it's going to reinvigorate the market a little bit. They're going to sell those consoles and it's going to do well. What games are you going to play on it? Like you said, and that brings us to the next questions, is like, what is the big title that they're going to bring out and they're going to show off on this and say, this is why you need to buy this console? What is it going to be? Last of Us Remake 3? Like, what do you have that's going to take advantage of this day one? I don't see it. I'll tell you one thing that'll work really well, and it's pretty ironic. Call of Duty will play really good on it. And it's fun to watch that the money will go right from the ponies that throw a fit about the games all the time right into Microsoft's pocket. And Microsoft's going to say thank you, and they're going to continue to invest in their own ecosystem. So it's great because it's literally like internally, it's like poisoning yourself, right? Like Sony is stuck in a position where they're basically having to poison themselves because like you don't want to say, no, we don't want Call of Duty. Call of Duty is one of your biggest sellers on your system, but you're literally supporting your competition in the process. Like, I love how crappy that is. Like, it's amazing. I love it. It's the same thing we've seen with Minecraft and stuff too. But I don't know, a little bit of that fanboy in me makes me laugh a little bit on that one. Like, it gets a little giddy when I think about that one, because that's gotta suck. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow for them. But yeah, no, I kind of thought with everything that was going on, maybe they were going to cancel the Pro. I thought, like, realistically, we're already talking about the next gen stuff. If you release a system at this point, Microsoft's already shown that they're interested in moving to next gen pretty soon. So you're going to release a Pro. Again, when hardware sales are down, you're going to kick this thing out. And then your competition's going to release a next gen system shortly after. So what, are you going to try and then follow their suit and bring out a next gen system pretty quick after that? Because you just asked someone for another $600 for a Pro that you claim that they need. So it seems like it's redundancy. Like it seems like it's something, you could have trimmed that fat and you could just been like, okay, we don't need this. It doesn't make any sense. GTA is not releasing, which pains me on its own, because when they first showed us that 2025 release, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. 2025. This thing has been like 12 years in the making. Why?
Yeah.
But like, as I was thinking about it more, I was like, well, if it's going to be 2025, it's going to be holiday 2025. It makes the most sense, because that's when they would want to bundle it. That's when they'd want to get it out there, because everyone's going to be buying it anyways. Like, that's the time to do it. But it would not surprise me if that thing gets kicked to 2026, of which, again, the question comes out, what are you going to put on this PS5 Pro?
Exactly.
What do you have
Exactly.
that's going to be the reason to buy that hardware? That's $600 not well spent, if that's what the cost is. That's my thought.
It's a great thought, because again, that's been the biggest conversation. If there are no first party games, because the only thing that could still release, and it's unlikely, is Concord. Concord is a multiplayer game. It's a gas game.
Burger Sim.
The Burger Sim, yeah. I mean, I still don't think that's releasing this year. So you release a Pro with nothing. At least if they would have had GTA, at least they could have attempted to get the marketing, which everyone just assumes, oh, it's PlayStation, they're going to have the marketing. I don't think so this time around. That's just my personal take on it. But I obviously your mileage is going to vary on that particular conversation. Korkenstein, let's bring you into the conversation. PS5 Pro was by the gaming media and the community depicted as being the side-by-side release for GTA 6, running at 60 frames per second. Hogwash, to be honest with you. We all knew it was BS. But here we are, GTA 6 being moved out of this year, of this year, any potential, to holiday of 2025, and it could even be moved out even further. I think this really does shut down the narrative of PlayStation not needing Call of Duty because they have Grand Theft Auto, because that was also running a narrative which was ridiculous. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it shuts down the narrative for now. Let's put on some tinfoil hats here. So is it any kind of coincidence that now we see PlayStation 5's financials? They're down almost 1 million consoles behind PS4. They want to push out this PS5 Pro, and now all of a sudden we're seeing GTA 5 or GTA 6 being pushed back another year. Maybe happy coincidence, who knows? But with that, it just doesn't make a lot of sense right now to release a PS5 Pro. They're already seeing that their numbers are down. They might as well eat the loss on the R&D, wait a year to where maybe they can release it with GTA 6 now. It's still, I don't rule it out, but I never really thought it was going to happen anyways. But I don't rule it out. Sony needs something in their bag to make the PS5 Pro worth it. Right now, they have nothing, and they're asking developers. You just can't release a console and automatically it will magically upgrade everything to 60 frames per second and all of this stuff. Developers have to code for that. I've worked in the industry. You have to develop SKUs for that. You actually have to develop textures for that. You have to make sure and code and optimize for that console. Who's going to pay for that? We're already seeing developers laying off in mass droves. We're seeing studios closures. People are trying to bring costs down. So why is Sony trying to increase costs for them when they might not see the return of investment like they would, because they're already down 1 million consoles compared to last year? It just doesn't make sense for them to release a PS5 Pro right now. So maybe that's something that could happen, to where GTA 6 sees that and they're just like, you know what? Let's wait a year. They got nothing to lose. GTA Online prints money. Basically, it's its own.
It does.
Yeah, it's its own economy. So they don't really. It's like WoW and Blizzard and them. They have these games that just print money. So why rush? There's nothing to lose, and they can also optimize and do stuff like that. Who knows? Maybe there's the series, maybe another Xbox console is also coming. We don't know yet. We'll maybe find out later. But either way, there's way too many variables for anyone to start saying it is coming with PlayStation 5, maybe isn't coming with PlayStation 5. There's just way too much in the industry happening, and the future's kind of uncertain, when it comes to that stuff. So maybe they might just invest that R&D tech to another next gen console, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I thought it was funny too when everyone's like PS5 6. I mean, I think Brian McCaffrey was one of them where it's like, that's going to be the best place to play. And I was like, you're gonna regret saying that, bud. That's a crispy bomb receipt right there for you,
Indeed it is. Yeah, I mean, it's listen, at the end of the day, it's a story that really kind of stoked the fires of social media yesterday. GTA is a big title. It doesn't matter if it takes another year or so. Maybe it's 18 months, maybe it's 24 months. Whenever that game comes out, 2K is going to be lighting their cigars with $100 bills. It's going to make a lot of money. I personally still don't think that Sony is financially in a position to afford the marketing. I think that if you want to be aggressive and you really want to be cutthroat and you're Microsoft, you go and you secure this marketing. You don't say anything. And when this game comes out right alongside your next Call of Duty, no one is talking about Nintendo. Nobody is talking about PlayStation. They're talking about Xbox. And this is where you start to see at the end of a generation, potentially, they start to sell consoles like crazy because GTA and Call of Duty, which they hold marketing rights for Call of Duty, would be just bonkers. It just would be a conversation that a lot of people would not want to have because there would be no coming back from that. So that's going to do that. But I do want to bring up another conversation. This one is revolving around Starfield. Now, Starfield got its monster update where you can play 60 frames. A lot of people are enjoying it. I've seen it running on my TV with VRR. It is unbelievable. And that update is live. But one of the things that didn't come with this update was the land vehicles. Now, this is something, like I said, if I had a criticism for me as a gamer, it would be that there was no faster way. Yeah, you could fast travel. You find a place and you go on back, you go fast travel right to the ship. But I think that there was, for me, jumping around got a little tedious. You kept jumping, and yes, you moved quick, but not quick enough. The reason why I bring up this story is because June 9th, which again, a couple of weeks ago, we are expecting to get our first look at the Shattered Space DLC for Starfield. It's going to be a big, big deal. It's the first piece of DLC. It's going to continue the story. I cannot wait to play it. I don't know if the vehicles are going to be available for that update. It's still quite a bit of ways, so I don't know. I'd like to hope that it would be there. So I bring it up because like they've done, and again, the social media, when you talk about the gaming media, has been really beating down on Starfield. Like, this is the worst thing Bethesda's ever put out. All you see is negative. If you, like I said, just go to the socials, try to write something positive about Starfield that you're having. Oh my God, I did New Game Plus and I saw this. I can't believe what I'm playing. The 60 frames is great. Someone is going to pop in there to kind of shit on your excitement, and it's sickening. It does get sickening. And now the gaming media has once again wreaked its ugly head. And Game Rant, who I actually used to really like, has just done. Well, they've become the IGNs and the GameSpots and the Kotakus of the world because they put out an article which got a lot of negative criticism for them, and it well deserved. Starfield's upcoming land vehicles may be little too late. Well, for whose eyes is what I want to know. And that's not the first negative article that they've written. I just wanted to talk about it because right now, the hotness is the Starfield update, and everyone is enjoying it. People are back to playing it. Paris Lilly had put out a tweet that he's going to put something out there with his experience with the 60 frames. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. Jamie Moran is putting out a ton of screenshots and things. Nico is also putting out stuff regarding Starfield. Everyone seems to be, excited for the game again. Corkinson, I'm going to write back to you. This is another, just for me, a giant L for gaming media as it stands. I don't understand personally. I say only. I'm not being facetious. I only have 5 days and 10 hours. And to me, if you tell that to some people, you're like, hey, rookie, get to the back of the ship, because there are people that got 70 days in this game. I got to play some other things. I ran through it. I had a great time. I just started my new Game Plus. I cannot wait to get into it. I'm going to play it further. I got some other things on my plate that I have to take care of first. But why the consistent beatdown of this game? I don't understand it.
SEO, pretty much, search engine optimization. I mean, there's nothing that gets clicks than negative Xbox news. It's a great way to spin stuff. I mean, this is the media that we're in an age now where things have to be sensationalized. You have to create narratives and things that get people to click on your article, and you're going to have different views that are kind of like, nothing's going to get somebody to click on an article than rage and anger. You don't, a lot of people now don't really click on an article. They're like, oh, I like this. Let me see, I like that point of view. People see something that's angry and they click and they're like, well, I need to see why it's angering me. And it's just a lot of that, I think. And it's just, I mean, they used Starfield so much. I mean, look at IGN, they were kind of bashing it. You had a lot of people bashing Starfield. In a sense, but then you look later on in their site and they got how to do this in Starfield, how to do this in Starfield. It's just to create a narrative that will get people to click. And Game Rant has been a big part of that lately. Same with like Eurogamer, just creating negative Xbox news to get people to view in. So I think a lot of it is just SEO. There's no other way about it. They can't go in, especially when you've put such a hard spin on why you shouldn't play Starfield. To kind of 180 that now, you lose a lot of credibility. I mean, you're already losing credibility to those that know, but for those that don't, they're seeing this 180 switch. It's kind of hard to explain that away.
That's a great point. It's a shame that actually exists. I mean, listen, I'm not a boobs, folks. I understand that there's a business here, but I think that there's a way to celebrate gaming and not go out of your way to try to hurt the brand because you are pro PlayStation. And again, that's actually my fear for Hellblade. I think that you're gonna see it. You're gonna see the people come out and give the game a 6 because it's not on their preferred platform. And I'm sorry if Metacritic allows that, that's disgusting. But Crispy, I'm gonna go back to you, brother. Let's talk about Starfield. The big update happened. A lot of people are really enjoying it. Multitude of visual of things that you can do and again, the smorgasbord of effects that you can do for your play style and what you like to see is what I like. It's called options. Gaming options for us are great. This new update gave us a ton of them, and even with all of the options, instead of reporting on the excitement around the game, instead of reporting on the fact that they did keep their promise, and you get a chance to play with VRR in 40, in 30, in 60. They run an article like this. It's just gross.
I mean, isn't it funny that literally right in front of us, I mean, first of all, it's a Bethesda title, so even saying that is just asinine. I'm sorry. And also literally having the example right in front of you that saying anything from Bethesda is too little too late with the Fallout and how all of that Fallout TV show has done is just make these older Bethesda titles absolutely go bonkers. And we're talking across the board. If it has Fallout in the name, people are playing it. Isn't that interesting? So to sit here and even have that article out there is zero credibility, especially right after all of what we've seen. So, I mean, you know, that's what it is. It's clickbait. And this is where I hate the way X/Twitter is become with the monetization, as people literally do that themselves to get a couple dollars. And now people that have no say are just trying to anger people for no reason. And that's where these games, you can hate Starfield all you want. You can hate that it's not on your platform, whatever you think is going to get you engagement on said site or whatever else. It's also free publicity for Starfield. Okay. And this is where you're going to see them bring out, you know, an update, because this is what Bethesda does at most of these shows. They have, you know, updates on ESO and all these other games. And they say, hey, we're adding this, we're adding this. They're constantly adding stuff, and people constantly play. And guess what? They play because they're adding stuff and they love the game. Okay. So it's just, I can't believe that some of these, and we've seen some stuff lately, like people just don't even know what they're talking about and they call themselves journalists. I'm gonna leave it at that because it was hilarious the other day. But you know, RPG, what's an RPG type deal? But yeah. So you know, like, this is where I say, like, some of these sites need to stand on their credibility a little bit better. And until they do that, I mean, that's where I don't have some of these receipts, and I usually get screenshots because I've either muted or blocked them at this point. I'm not giving them the click. And I suggest if you feel the need to give them the click and then the article is just as bad as you thought, because they're obviously putting a clickbait title out there, then just don't click it anymore. That's the way I'm approaching it at this point, and that's why I don't have something like, I have McCaffrey receipts, which maybe I'll bring out at some point, get blocked by him, who knows. But until then, you know, it's one of those things, like we got to deal with it. It's a part of society now, and it really comes down to your personal way you want to handle it, because if you give them the click, they're going to continue to do it, and that's really what it's coming down to.
Yeah, sad but true. Very true. Fuzzy, let's bring you in on the conversation. Again, not surprising. Like I said it all the time. Game Rant used to be one of my favorite places to get news. They used to have a really good bunch of editors and a good bunch of journalists. And now, I guess because they're losing out to the IGNs, to the Kotakus, instead of running a positive story about Starfield, which a lot of people are very excited about this update, they run the vehicles too little too late. And I think Crispy knocked it out of the park. Can you actually use that sentiment with anything Bethesda? I would say no, because they consistently update their games, even if it's 10 years later. Something like Skyrim looks and runs better now than it did when it released, and it's, you know, a lot of it now, could a lot of that come from the modding community? Sure. But the fact that you can do that makes it Bethesda as a company very special. Let's talk about it.
Well, just look at Fallout 76 as a perfect example.
Oh,
that's the most recent one from
where
it launched in a rough state to where it's in a great state now. Starfield launched in a great state, at least in my opinion. Sure, they could have added the maps thing at launch, but like, those are things that they weren't deal breakers. They were more like, oh, that would have been more convenient, but it didn't stop me from enjoying the game. Now that it's in there, it's like, oh, wow, this would have definitely made some of those searches for like certain stores or things like that a little bit easier. But now it's there. It just makes it that much more fun while playing it. As far as the vehicles were concerned, like, I still think, well, especially if you're not using controller, unfortunately, if you do the keyboard and mouse thing, it works a little bit better. But the jetpack has a keybind by default on controller that prevents you from really propulsing or setting yourself forward faster than what a vehicle can. Like on keyboard and mouse, you can set it up a certain way, or on computer, you can, adjust the keybinds a bit, but the vehicle's going to be slower than what I can do on my jetpack right now. So I'm looking forward to the vehicle stuff, but once again, it's not a deal breaker for me. But I can understand, especially for those on console, why, like, and unless you're on a planet with very little gravity, yeah, you're going to be jumping a bunch of times, and it's going to seem like you're not getting anywhere, or you're running and then you have to start walking again to kind of catch your breath kind of deal. But I think even now with some of the adjustments that they have as far as playability, certain foods and things like that could be more potent, so you don't have to necessarily worry about oxygen as much, or your carrying capacity. Like ammo was never a carry capacity thing, but if you're a little bit sadistic and you want to make your game a little bit tougher, you can now make all of that ammo cost you as far as your carry capacity and stuff, where you can limit the carry capacity or turn the damage up. Like there's just so many great things that they've done as far as like just little touches to the experience of the game that I'm happy to jump back into it. The only drawback now is going to be with, like we mentioned earlier, there's going to be a flood of games coming from Xbox Studios, whether it's, Call of Duty later in the year, or you got, Vowed, you got next week, basically you got Hellblade 2. You got Flight Sim, which I'm big into Flight Sim. So that will be another one. The only drawback is going to be time and having the availability. Although if you're solely into RPGs, then Starfield is going to probably be the best way to go out of everything that's coming out towards the second half of the year. But that Shattered Space DLC can't come here soon enough, just for the fact that I want to do a couple of different things. Now, the one small complaint that I have, the 2 bugs that I had with Starfield are still present. So it didn't fix the landing strip area. But like I said, I had 5 simultaneous playthroughs. 2 of them are slightly busted. The other 3 are still golden, so I'm still having fun with those. But and then one of those is basically a duplicate of the one that has it where the enemies won't come out the ship. So it's
Oh crap!
I already have the workaround. I would like to get that one unlocked because I have the Starborn ship without going Starborn just yet. So that would be a kind of a cool thing to see how that plays out. But this game is just a ton of fun, just in general. And the small touches that they've added, knowing that the mod tools are going out to some of their more famously known modders, and that they'll be available here, within probably the next few months. That's going to be huge, because I know even though they probably won't have it on the official store, and it might wind up getting takedown requests on Nexus a couple of times, but somebody's going to do Star Wars.
I was just going to say that literally they're going to change it to Star Wars, which I'm downloading that. I'm sorry.
I mean, as long as they don't call it Star Wars and they call these lightsabers something else, like light sticks or whatever you want to call it, just don't use any terms from Star Wars, and we'll be golden. But somebody's going to do that mod. They're going to do a Star Trek mod. They're going to do Battlestar Galactica mod. There's endless possibilities, and the fact that they still have mod stuff that they've improved on for the shipbuilder, which a lot of people had fun with that. I'm waiting to see if they have it where we can build space stations, which some people have cracked the code to be able to do so, but it's a little bit more of a hectic thing you have to be on PC to do it type of deal. But this game, like I said, way back when it launched, people are still going to be playing this game 10 years later. So all the knuckleheads that want their SEO clicks and things like that, because I think Korkenstein knocked it on the head, or nailed it on the head as far as its SEO, because that same site will have, like you said, the guides on one part of the site, and then, this game isn't a game of the generation on the other side. It's like, well, then if it's not a game of the generation, then why'd you even bother doing the guides? Just asking. But the people are going to still be playing this thing 10 years later. Bethesda will probably do 2, maybe 3 remasters. There'll probably be a couple of generations of hardware in between there.
Additions, if you will.
Yeah. But this game is still a ton of fun. If you listen to those Knucklehead reviews before, where this isn't a worthwhile game to play, I think it's probably time for you to try for yourself. And if you tried it and it wasn't necessarily your gig in the beginning, I would say wait until the Shattered Space DLC comes out, because they'll probably have something of more interest to you at that point. But as it stands, this update, perfect timing and a great way to continue to support their IPs out there. Although I really, really hope we get a almost like a Sky, or like a what do you call it, Starfield MMO version here soon. At some point.
I wouldn't be surprised. That has to come out. It's like literally it would print money. If they
Yeah,
can
I
do it
mean-
for Fallout, if they can do it for Skyrim, you would imagine that they're going to have a Starfield version of that. They just have to.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably rival Star Citizen at that point, and you wouldn't need a $5,000 rig to run it smoothly.
Yeah, no, that's good points. Listen, as we close in at nearly 1,000 live viewers, that is crazy. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. Hopefully, you're enjoying the conversation. I think everyone has knocked it out of the park. Silent Cypher, I want to get your hot take on this because, hearing Korkenstein and Crispy and myself and Fuzzy, you can see and you can hear the excitement for Starfield. Like, okay, maybe it's not your game of the generation. I'm not going to fight you on it. That's okay. Not every game is for every gamer, but I think that Fuzzy does bring up a great point. If you haven't played it, because maybe people, because I saw a lot of running narratives. Oh, it's not 60. I don't want to play. Okay, you know what? You don't have a PC. You have a console. You're used to 60. I'm not going to argue with you. You waited. Here is a very celebratory time in gaming. I know Xbox has stepped on some rakes, and we're not going to let them off the hook for some of the dumb things that they've done. But the truth of the matter is in the same week that we got a Starfield update, we also got the 4K. We got the Series X, S, and PS5 update for Fallout on Monday, and on top of that, now we're closing out the week, and we hear that Call of Duty confirmed to be in Game Pass this fall. Monster week for Xbox. Obviously the codes have gone out for Senua, Hellblade 2. That's dropping next week. Another big plus. How do we get to a place with Game Rant where instead of celebrating with the community and getting excited, because I think the engagement would be better if they were like, oh my God, the update is here. You could do all these things. Here's a guide. And people go and they look at it and they click and they like it and everyone's having a great time. No, they have to run a negative narrative where, well, boom, those vehicles, I don't know, which is just stupid. What are your thoughts, man?
Sony does this a lot too. Like if you take a look at how they approach any of these news cycles, anytime that bad news lands, they usually are like, but look over here. Look over here. Oh, we just let go of 500 people, but look over here. Look over here. Ignore what's going on over here. I feel like that's what IGN is doing. Like they're literally carrying the water for Sony in a situation where like this, or like some of these other ones, Game Rant, like all these people continue to be like, nope, we're going to continue to carry the flag up the mountain. We're going to support you. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad news or whatever. Like, we will support you. We will move that goalpost. Doesn't matter if it's like hailing and it's like 20 degrees outside. We will sit out there in the mud. We will move this thing forward for you because we have just blind allegiance. And it's so dumb to watch, and it's so aggravating because you know that a lot of it literally, like you guys touched on previously, it just comes from a place of wanting the engagement. I forget what the conversation even was a couple days ago, but we were talking about the sales numbers and all that stuff. We saw that news come out, and like right afterwards, I think it was IGN, I saw something else that popped out, and they're like, oh, but this. Oh,
Yes.
that's right. You know what? They're like, oh, well, we're worried about Game Pass because we think Game Pass is a problem and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
I love it.
Sony just announced their numbers that you said were going to be amazing. And when they were not anything near amazing, and trust me, there were plenty of people out there trying to be like, well, that's still a lot of sales and blah, blah, blah. And they started like fighting against the Xbox sales, of which I'm like, okay, I don't care. Obviously you do. You're very hell-bent on those hardware sales. I'm sure you've got stock in the company, so you're making money, so you should really care that much. But sure. They were like, oh, we're worried about Game Pass. And I'm like, why are you worried about Game Pass? It's a lot of people have said it before, but it's one of those things like, why are you worried about your neighbor's yard when you've got a bunch of shit going on in your yard that needs to be fixed? Why are you concerned about that? Why are you trying to call them out on things when everything that's going on in your own ecosystem is starting to fall apart? And I think that's the thing that gets me the most, is just watching some of the engagement on this is ridiculous. I'm sure you've seen it too. Like, you'll post something online and sometimes you're just not sure what's going to happen. Um, I had that a couple weeks ago where I threw something out there and I was like, it's just, it's just a silly thought that I had in the morning. It literally took me like a minute to post this. Within a couple days, it was already past like 300,000 views and like an insane amount of likes. I was like, dude, you guys are losing your minds, and you are responding over and over and over again. And I literally, it was just a throwaway idea that I just tossed in there because I was like, that'd be funny. People get so bent out of shape on it. But again, it goes back to that engagement. And that's why these guys farm it the way they do, is they know that it's going to get that ad revenue. They know it's going to get that engagement, that click. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm very much one, like, I shared the IGN one a couple days ago, and I don't like to share anything IGN generally because
No,
I
me
feel like
either.
I just don't want to give them I don't want to give them like a pat on the back to be like, hey, good job, you're doing great, because they're not.
Not wrong.
We've seen it over and over again. They're not doing great. They're being ass goblins, is my phrase
Well,
that I
that's your
use
famous
normally.
line, ask
Yeah.
goblins. I've seen you say that. I would say, if you want to be politically correct, facetious at best. But I
Yes.
like ask goblins. I don't like them personally, but I like what you're putting down.
No one actually likes them, but yeah, no. So I think that's the thing that kills me, is just like the engagement on this, and we see it happen every time. Like, I guarantee you, like we talked about, when Hellblade comes out, we are going to see people lose their ever loving minds about it, and you're going to have people that are going to be out there that are like, yeah, I give it a 6. Too much walking.
Yeah.
Too much
Yes.
walking. I give it a 6.
Yep.
Meanwhile, that's the Sony fanboy that's constantly pledging, like, we need those first person cinematic experiences. When we bring out a game on the Xbox ecosystem, you lose your mind about it and you start review bombing it because it's too much like your Sony titles.
Yep.
Like, shut up, sit down.
Just
It's ridiculous.
dumb. Yes, I agree. Look, I'll say this. This has been a striking conversation. Breaking news live on the air. I can't say we haven't had that happen. We've been very fortunate, and I've been very fortunate as a content creator to have the time to do as many shows as we do. Obviously, if you're finding the channel for the first time, of the 1,000 people that are here, because we've broken 1K, or actually at 1,020. Holy shit, that is crazy for such a small channel. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're watching, then I can tell you exactly where and who. Okay, so we have 650 people watching on YouTube, which is dope. 365 people watching on Twitter, which is amazing. If you're on Twitter and you're not subscribed, hit the screen and you'll be taken right to the YouTube channel. And if you're feeling super generous, because this is a great Friday and we had a lot of great topics, you can hit the subscribe button. And if you're feeling super generous and you're like, you know what, I'm going to save the world today because I'm Captain Goddamn America, you hit the bell icon and there you go. And you'll know every time I go live. And you know what, I'll thank you for it. But this has been a great conversation. Let me catch up on the super chats. My God, there's been so many of them. It's crazy. First of all, 3 bits. Obviously, one of the best guys in the industry. Not only is he a developer, folks, but he is also a content creator. He is a personality, and he has a great new show called Pixel Echoes that Fuzzy's on. We'll talk about that at the end. You got to get over there and subscribe to that guy. He is really a good dude. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says X. I don't know how to pronounce that. XBAWX. Xbox? Is that how I say it? Because I'm a New Yorker. I think it's how I say Xbox. Yeah. Sorry about that, but that's the New Yorker in me. JD Gamer drops. He's been a channel member, folks, for almost as long as this show has been around. 52 freaking months, bro. That is bonkers. Thank you so much for the continued support. He says, I want Xbox's showcase to start with a giant X is going to give it to you. Yeah, I mean, of course, DMX passed away. What a shame. It's funny you mentioned DMX, so you mentioned that particular song. He just did a cameo. He did a song with Five Finger Death Punch, which is amazing. So if you like Five Finger Death Punch, which is heavy metal, DMX did a song that he produced with them before he passed away. It's topping the charts, and it's the first time DMX has ever been #1 in metal, which is freaking amazing. Still, the guy's gone, and he's still making waves. I love it. I'm a big fan of DMX. But thank you so much. He goes, all I do is win, 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 and that to me would be like just putting the boot on the neck of PlayStation after the loss of Call of Duty. Yeah, dude, they have to drive it home. Hargeet keeps saying that, and I think you're going to see it. I think they're going to grind and drive that point home that Xbox is the place for Call of Duty, and Sony's got to sit there. Like I said in the beginning of today's show, this is the nightmare scenario that Jim Ryan was afraid of, and it looks like it's coming to fruition. Giggity 08 drops a very generous $2 super chat, and I did not know this, and I'm not a big college guy, but this is a big deal. He says, FYI, College Football 25 just dropped a trailer that is going to sell like freaking hotcakes. Turk Netso drops a very generous $5 super chat in Turk or Truck. Is that how it's not Turk? It's TRUK. I think it's Truck without the C. Welcome to the program. It's nice to see you here, and thank you so much for the generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, now imagine if Microsoft launches the next-gen Xbox and handheld next holiday, marketing or not, Xbox will dominate sales. Guaranteed 4K 60 on Xbox. I mean, if it's a new Xbox like they say it's going to be, it could run at 60 frames. There's no doubt about it. That new handheld, my God, could you imagine at the showcase with all the games that we know are going to be there, all the games that we know that are not going to be, that we're not sure are going to be there, and Sarah Bond, who is head of hardware, walks out holding what the Xbox next handheld looks like. That's going to be freaking amazing. Hargeet drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, down economy globally, PlayStation introduces a more expensive Pro console. Xbox bundles Call of Duty with cheaper Series S. Which one is more appealing to gamers? Brother, that's it. I don't know how you're going to ask $600+ for a Pro from your consumers that already bought your PS5 who don't have a new first-party game coming out until May of 2025. What? Are we kidding me? And Xbox is dying? Okay. All right. Good for you. Gamers Play HUD Zero drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. And he goes on to say this. Boom. I believe in Lou that of GTA 3, Xbox is making up for past sins with GTA 6. I mean, do you remember when Peter Moore came out and he rolled up his sleeve and he was like, oh, GTA, and people went freaking bonkers? I'm not saying Phil's going to roll out there with the guns and throw a tattoo on there, but it would be, if they get marketing, it's over. Hadari Mac. Hey, Hadari, welcome back, brother. Nice to see you here. Thank you for the very generous $5 super chat. And Hadari says this: new desktop PC with 4080. Bro, that's nice. Existing Series X and Game Pass Ultimate account. 2 weeks left to legit. Oh, it's 2 weeks left on legit sick leave. Hellblade 2 in 4 days. Life is good, brother. Congratulations on that. 4080. Yeah, Mrs. Boom actually is rocking a 4060 in her new PC. It's an Alienware laptop that I got her, and she didn't even play games on it, but she just wanted an Alienware, and I got her the bells and whistles. I don't know. I'm just not a PC guy, but dude, having a 4080 now, that sounds pretty dope. Mash, once again, this is just crazy. He has done this, I think, think 4 times this week. Mash, I can't thank you enough. That is ridiculous generosity. Folks, he has gifted 10 double barrel gaming memberships. That is just the gift of these things. You don't understand how much they help, because we really do. When I say we're a mom and pop organization, that's who we are. And anything that we do for gifts to the community comes the way of stuff like this. We can't give away. We can't have a $2,000 giveaway like we're going to have this December if we don't have this kind of support. So thank you so much. That's crazy generous of you. And of course, not to be outdone, all the way from the UK, I've been whacking off. Drops a very generous one super chat because he wants me to say it. So I did. You got me to roll around. Congratulations, brother. Thank you so much for the support. We love you, man. Ice Cold Cabbage drops a very generous £5 super chat. And he goes on to say they so-called the so-called gaming media supports Sony because they spend more on marketing, and they hate on Xbox because it uses they use it to get clicks. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword with that. Marketing for Sony, and we've learned, like IGN, they have like 40% of their marketing budget. That goes for Kotaku, that goes for GameSpot. A lot of these conglomerates get like 40+% from Sony, and that's I'm not even making a number up, folks. You can research it. That's an actual fact. And of course, on the back end, the minute they say something Xbox negative, it rages the community to go click. When I see the stories and I'm gonna try to put someone on blast, I take a screenshot and Game Rant, D-Bags Anonymous, whatever. I'll put the screener up there, but I'm not going to give you the link because I'm not gonna help that cog move along. And you should do the same thing as well. Elemental Pio, who's been a channel member for 25 months, bro. Thank you so much for the support. He says, just wanted to say thanks for making Mummy Fridays awesome. Great talk, brother. It's great to see you in the chat. And again, listen, anything we can do to help move your Friday along, we're happy to help. And lastly, Scott Gamer Dude. Scott, what's going on, brother? Thank you so much for being here. And of course, thank you for the generosity. He drops a very generous $10 super chat. It says, hello, Boom and panel. Keep it up, Boom. Great content. Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate the very kind words. Silent Cipher audiobook version of Hargeet's book. Yes, get that working. That would be kind of dope. Also, Boom, you should write a book, Your Military Police Gaming Life. I would read that. Actually, it's funny you say that. People have actually said that to me. I don't think I have that much of an interesting life that you'd want to read about it, but I've never thought about writing a book. I had an amazing career, and a lot of the stuff that happened through the NYPD for me are stuff you'll never read in the papers because it's good news. I was a neighborhood kid who grew up in the projects, graduated Christopher Columbus High School, went back to Christopher Columbus High School as youth officer, which was a freaking amazing because when I went back, there were teachers that remembered me as a kid. So now I went from being the kid in the school walking around with the book bag to policing. And it was for me as just a person, it was amazing. I met my wife in that school, Mrs. Boom. And then there you go. I met my wife in my high school that I graduated all those years ago. And, I went back to the same projects that I grew up in as a housing cop, which was freaking outstanding because there were people that I used to see outside the window, like, hey, used to see me as a kid running around with my grandma, and they saw me as an adult police officer. So I had such an amazing career, but you know what? Unfortunately, that would never sell papers. Would it sell books? Maybe. Maybe if I save someone's life like Captain America, maybe I could write a book. We'll see. But look, ladies and gentlemen, this has been awesome. I had an amazing time. We are at the cusp of the end of the show. Hopefully you had a great time enough to hit the like button. Of course, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Let's get everyone out of here. Korkenstein, thank you so much for joining us once again. It was awesome to get your hot takes. Please, by all means, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, check out your Xbox show, and find you, kind sir, on social media.
Yeah, so you can guys find me on Twitter at the Korkenstein or Steen, like I said, .com or at the Korkenstein on Twitter. I'm also on YouTube. I got 2 shows right now. We're running Game Pass Gumbo, which combines games or studios or a topic about the gaming industry, and we pair it with food. So like Hellblade was Celtic food. The show before that was Blizzard and ice cream. I think this coming up, we're gonna. I think this Saturday,
cool.
yeah, like 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think we're gonna do Japanese, like a memoriam for tango, and then Japanese food. And then
Nice.
right now we are reworking Xbox Talks on YouTube as well, which is a channel just for the Xbox Series X subreddit, where we do reviews and previews and podcasts, hopefully coming up soon. So those are the 3 places you can find me.
Well, we love it, brother. We love having you here. You bring a tremendous amount of energy, and obviously, folks, you didn't know he's in the West Coast, so it's super early. Like it's like 7 a.m. when he's joining the chaos. For us, it's 10 a.m. But dedication is on full effect here, brother. It was great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us, Korkenstein or Korkenstein,
Thank you so
whatever.
much.
No, thank you. Silent Cipher. Let's talk about the Xbox International Podcast, where you consistently rub Louis the wrong way. Pause. No Diddy. Hold on a sec.
Whoa.
Hold your horses there, fella. Yeah, obviously you guys do a great job over there. Louis is currently he's dealing with some personal family stuff. My heart goes out to that. Listen, that is a man. I love that man. He is a great human being. He's also has me worried because that haunted picture is, that he has in the background is something that's terrifying. And the other day, it froze him on purpose. I mentioned it and it froze him just about, he was about to speak. It wasn't good. Sell the brand of the Xbox International Podcast. We want to help you guys grow that network. Tell people where they can check that out, where they can subscribe, and more importantly, find you, kind sir, on social media.
Well, first, yeah, shout out to Louis. Obviously, if you follow him on Twitter, he lost his grandma this week, so give him some love. If you see him in any of the chats, or if you hear him hanging out anywhere, just let him know that we're thinking about him. That being said, though, yeah, that portrait, I'm pretty sure it's got a curse with it, and it's going to end his life at some point. Like, I feel like I see the eyes move occasionally when he's doing his videos.
That no matter where he moves in the house, it's always watching him. That is creepy as F. Let me just say that.
Yeah, it looks like him as a queen also, which is kind of interesting. It looks like it's his dress up portrait, and it's pretty amazing.
Oh my god, that's
but yes, so you can find me all over social media as Silent Cipher. You can find me on Twitter being an Ask Goblin, as always. You can find me playing some Xbox games. If you want to play anything, if you see me online, feel free to hit me up. If I'm around and I have some time to play, I'm more than happy to play some games. Fortnite, Call of Duty, whatever. And besides that, I've got some more stuff coming to TikTok here pretty shortly.
Nice.
And of course, you can find me on Wednesdays at Xbox International Podcast at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Crazy Louie, Sour Blow, and Plume Gaming. We got some cool guests coming up, especially heading here into the showcase. So should be a really good time. But chat, thank you guys so much. And Boom, thanks for having me. Panel, it was great hanging out with you guys as always. Great to meet you, Korkenstein. Hopefully I will see you around soon.
Nice. Crispy Bomb, let's get you involved over here, brother. Thank you so much for the crispy truth, as you're known for. And where can people find you on social media if they want to strike up a conversation? And what else you got going on, kind sir?
Just want to say, Louis, hearts with you, man. Hope all is well. Zach, Chris Bomb on X. I guess they officially changed it to X now.
Yeah,
so.
they sure did. I got a notification this morning. Yeah, it's officially through the X. So stupid.
Yeah,
I miss to say it was so much. It rolled off the tongue so nice. Twitter, it just did. So at Chris Bomb on X, Chris Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me here on Breakfast with Boom. Generally every Friday, try to be here. Work's been a little weird lately, but I am here when I can be. You also can find me saving Boom sometimes. Joining Xbox lunch break special once in a while because, I'll do inventory and be out early enough and stuff like that. So you just never know where you'll find me, generally on Mr. Boomstick's channel. So we'll see you then wherever I show up.
Well, we're happy to have you here on Fridays, and obviously when you do show up, you're always welcome. And yes, you have saved my ass many times. The bat signal goes up, and boom, he shows up with a Gears chainsaw in hand. So thank you so much for bailing me out, Crispy. And last and no way least, folks, we got to talk about Fuzzy Belvedere's YouTube channel, which we're trying to get him to at least 500 subscribers. I'd like to see him by end of year get him to 1K. I think it's fair. He does a lot of really great work in the community. He does a lot of phenomenal coverage, and it's the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. And of course, there's a lot of big racing games still coming out this year. We might get a Horizon 6 reveal or some information this June. By all means, Fuzzy, sell the brand. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? And more importantly, find you on social media?
As always, Boom, thank you for having me on. Always awesome being on here with you guys on Friday morning. Love having Corkenstein on here as well. Always love your takes. And Crispy, Silent Cypher, you guys know I always enjoy, bouncing stuff off of you guys and hearing your takes on things. For those that want to hear my outlandish rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app, formerly known as Twitter, now X. Like Crispy said, it's now official. You can usually find out what podcast I'm on. Like later on tonight, we'll be on Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow on PTK Blam's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern is the Shop Podcast. Hope to see you guys there as well. And then me and 3-Bit are on Pixelated Echoes. Just do a search for Pixelated Echo on YouTube. You'll be able to find us on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then hope everybody watching both on X as well as YouTube. We'll be right back here for Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon on Monday. Hope to see you guys there.
Thank you so much. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for the crazy generosity that's continually happens when we do these shows live. And, like I said, you know that Mrs. Boom and I put a lot of work into the channel, not only through the giveaways, but through the actual channel. As you can see, we pay for updated artwork. We consistently update the PC to make sure that everything is running tip top. We got the lighting, we have the camera, we have the mic. All of that stuff costs money. And we do, for the most part, pay for it ourselves, but we do use a lot of the super chats to continue moving the channel forward. But again, just for if you find the channel for the first time, one of the big giveaways that we're going to have is a bit out. But last year, for our annual, this will be our 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, we gave away $1,500 in 2 hours. And we gave 2 grand prizes of $250 to 2 winners. Well, Mrs. Boom, who runs the finances and is the brains of the operation, said that she wanted to do better because the economy is getting worse. So we have budgeted ourselves to give away $2,000 in 2 hours. We've never done that before. And we're probably one of the few channels that actually do that. Again, we're not corporate funded. We're the mom and pop organization. But my wife is all about giving back to others because obviously right now is a tough time for everyone. So we want to announce that we are giving away $2,000 this December. But before we get to that, starting in September, we're giving away 15 copies of Stalker 2. It's our small mom and pop way of helping a small mom and pop developer. So we're going to give away 15 copies. And then for our annual Mr. and Mrs. Boom's birthday bashes, each one of those shows are $500. So just do the math. That's probably around just about $3,300, give or take, that we're giving away. Maybe a little bit more than that. No, actually, it's more than that because we're buying 15 copies of Stalker 2. We're giving $1,000 between our birthdays and $2 grand on December. Well, do the math. That's over $4,000 that we're going to give away. And we've never given away that kind of money. And what we do is we tuck away the money that comes in the way of super chats after YouTube gets their 30%, because they're never going to say, no, you keep 30 cents, Mr. Boom, you're giving away stuff. No, they won't do that. So a big thank you to all of the super chats, all the continued support through the channel memberships. It does help way more than you could possibly imagine. And it does allow us to do these monster giveaways, and we're going to continue to grow as a channel, grow as a community, and we're going to continue to give back as much as we possibly can. And that's thanks to you fine folks. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And you see, I'm smiling because I always think of my pops. That's my hero. He used to say this: treat others, Craig, how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.